All right, football fans, what's happening? Coach Kevin Smith with you for a Wednesday episode of the Call Sheet Daily. This is our Whiteboard Wednesday show where we talk to real football coaches about the X's and O's of the great game of football. And I am privileged to have with me one of the great coaches here in Southern New Jersey. Guy's going to talk to us today about the inside zone concept. Coach Dan Boguszewski. Danny, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, Kev. Thanks for having me, brother.
Absolutely, man. So Dan, you're pretty well traveled here in South Jersey. You've been at a few different stops. You've been a head coach. You're an offensive coordinator now. Man, let us know about your journey here to your current position.
Yeah. So journey. I mean, I'm a South Jersey guy, man. Started out, I played ball at Overbrook High School. Got my first coaching job at Paul 6 High School under John Doherty. Awesome experience. Got to work with a guy named Joe Tafoni. An old guy that played in the NFL, coached at Holy Cross, really successful, awesome offensive mind. From Paul 6, I was the offensive line coach there, transitioned to a offense coordinator. Spent 9 years there. Headed over to Sterling High School for a season, was their offensive coordinator. Did another year at Paul 6 as their O-line coach with a guy named Russ Horton, who really kind of took my game to another level as well. Just kind of seeing some of the cool designs and schemes that he had brought over from Williamstown. Then I like you mentioned, I had the 3 years of the opportunity for 3 years to be a head coach at Eastern High School. Headed over to Timber Creek with Rob Hinson, was his offensive line coach, and then his O-line, D-line coach. Went to Overbrook High School with Frank Wachinski and was his wide receiver and outside linebacker coach. Went back to Eastern with Lionel Bolin and was his O-line coach. And then Coach Frank Fusatola brought me over to Williamstown this past season and was the offensive line coach there and going to be transitioning into their offensive coordinator position this upcoming season.
Love it, man. You coached a lot of different position groups. You've had a lot of different roles. It's great when you have the opportunity to do multiple jobs because you learn the game from so many different perspectives. Obviously, the perspective of a position coach and a coordinator and a head coach, of which you've been all three, it varies. Yeah, just quick question, man. You got any preference among the three? Or I shouldn't say preference, but can you outline for people who may be listening, what are some of the big differences between those three roles, position coach, coordinator, head coach?
All right, so I'll start out saying I'm an O-line guy. I'm all about the O-line, man. So I'm an O-line guy. I love it. I'll be honest. I really just kind of settled back in and was like, man, I want to be the best O-line coach I could possibly be. I got linked up with some really, really, really good guys, man. Like I can't not say it, but Jim McNally, man, he's the GOAT, best O-line coach. And once I linked with him, it kind of took my whole game to a whole nother level. So being an O-line coach, the nice thing about that is that camaraderie that you have with those guys, those hogs. They're the only, I've heard this before, but it's the only position where you play the entire game and your back is to the ball. Like you don't even see what's going on and until we get into the film room, So it's like it's such a selfless position, and the guys that you get in there, I mean, they're great guys. Like they care for each other, they pull for each other, they're selfless. They don't need all the notoriety and their name in the newspaper. And the bond that you can form with those guys is just it's always been phenomenal, So I've like we'll go out for like a wing night or a pizza night or go over to IHOP or whatever it may be. And man, they're just so appreciative to do that. So having that aspect of being an offensive line coach has always been huge for me. Being a coordinator is so much fun because you can be creative. Now, I can't say it's always fun on like third down and the play clock's running and things like that. It's not always the greatest time, but the creativity that you can bring and being authentic and being yourself and having the support of others and then having your cool ideas and then watch them come to motion. Like as a coordinator, my thoughts are always like, we all have system. Everybody has a system. And it's like, you want to fit players into your system, but then you got to kind of adjust your system to fit your players, man. It's like, it'd be great if everybody's just out there at 6'5", running 4.2s, and you could just chuck it around the yard all the time, or you have Barry Sanders in the backfield and he's just cutting things up, or we'll just say Saquon since we won the Super Bowl with him. But at the same time, it's like, not every team is his own entity. You could have been a run heavy team one year, and that next season, man, maybe you got a guy that can sling it around the yard, or maybe you have an athletic quarterback and now you're running a little bit more bash concepts and RPOs and stuff. So that part's really cool. And then being a head coach and wearing that hat, I mean, that's fun. That's fun. I'll be honest. Like to bring guys in and kind of give them roles. And as a head coach, your job is really to deliver the message and set that foundation. And then those assistant coaches, you really want to all be on the same page so they can push that message, and you show that one heartbeat and that we're all on the same page and everybody is like has the same vision and same goal. So as being a head coach, you wear many hats. It's like you got to be a father figure to some. You got to do your fundraising. You got to deal with administration. You got to talk to parents. There's so much that goes along with it. And if you have the right mindset, it's okay. You can learn how to prioritize things. I'm a huge family guy. I have 2 rock star daughters and an awesome wife that is so supportive of me. So you got to kind of manage and balance everything, as you know. I mean, you were head coach for a long time, Coach. But I'd say each of them have their own little like nuances or own little like things that you really liked for each of them. So my experiences, I've really enjoyed them all. I've learned and grown from all of them. Not everyone has been a great experience, but they've all been learning experience. And then when you look back, you're like, wow, really glad I did that.
Excellent. You're 100% right, man. The only thing I think that not the only thing, but one of the things I think people probably don't understand is you probably do the most hands-on coaching as a position coach.
Yes.
And you do the least as a head coach. And that's the thing, honestly, that I actually missed a little bit. I was a head coach for a long time, 14 years. And I'm going back, into coaching the guys now as a position coach and a coordinator. And I'm looking forward to just getting hands-on again, because there is you do have to remove yourself a little bit as a head coach because you have so many other things that you're responsible for. So it's kind of a fascinating, dichotomy, the way it all works. But that's a side subject, man. We're here to talk some inside zone, right? You are an O-line guy.
Yeah.
And inside zone is probably the most universal run concept in the game of football right now. You see it at every level. So let's start with this, man. Why is inside zone so popular and so useful? What makes it so useful?
I mean, with inside zone, I think you're secure in an area. So when you run inside zone, I mean, so when I say inside zone, I kind of vary off and now I'm more of like what I would consider more tight zone. So when I first started running inside zone, I would have the running back aiming at the play side guard's foot and all this stuff. And now I'm really changed it to where with tight zone, we're aiming at the center's backside foot. And what that really does is it funnels that defense into the center of your offense. What that allows is it helps out your double teams. It really brings everything to your double teams now. So what I think the benefit of running like a tight zone concept is when that running back hits it at that backside foot of the center, I mean, he can be downhill and hit that thing and send it, and split the safeties, or he might end up hitting it front side, or he might end up bending it backside, right? So when you have it, it kind of gives a running back a little bit more of his natural ability, as I think when we're little, like when we're kids and we're teaching youth league, we're like, all right, hit the A gap, hit the B gap, or 32 bless, or whatever it may be, right? Whereas when you run like a tight zone, it kind of can take kind of like a culture of its own, and then it can build off it, So a lot of times when you're running tight zone, if you're not going to block that backside defensive end, well, then you're going to account for him with your quarterback. Maybe he's going to hold that defensive end by pulling it. So now you're trying to shore up the numbers games a little bit, where we're making sure we're blocking everybody. But for the guy that might be unblocked, well, we're accounting for him by the quarterback pulls it, or as you have drawn up on that that whiteboard behind you with like the H coming across and what we call is like a slice block. And that really clearly defines that for the running back as well. He's coming down on that path inside, backside foot of that center, and you bring that slice across. And now you can see that guy get walled off because it could be scary, man. Those defensive ends like to surf now and stay square and all that good stuff that they're taught, man. Defensive coaches are super intelligent, right? So when you have the ability to kind of run that inside tight zone, it's not the most complex scheme, but you can really do a lot off of it and get a lot out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is also allowed teams to be multiple in their formation groups, the personnel groups, without having to change their scheme. I mean, you can go 10 personnel and spread the field and run tight zone with a read aspect on the backside. You can get it. You could be 12 personnel double tight, have 8 gaps along the front, and run your same concept. So the it's universal, it's diverse, and there always seems to be, because coaches are creative, man, you always seem to be adding new layers to it, which makes it exciting as well. So as an O-line coach, what are some of your major coaching points, man? Are you like a covered uncovered guy? Do you have a count system? How you teaching the O-line on this?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard so many different ones with the covered, uncovered. The latest one I've been kind of following is one with like red light, yellow light, green light. And really all this is saying is like the way I take it is zone is zone. So if you're zoning a certain way, right? So if you're zoning right, like people call it razor or laser and all these different names people have for them, right? But if we're zoning right, the mindset is that we're keying our linebacker to the play side. Okay. So for example, if I'm the right tackle, I'm going to start out as a right tackle. Right tackle, we want to maintain our leverage. And what I call that is match blocking. So the way we match is we know that the ball is going off the center's backside foot. So I want to match that man's leverage. So we have a defensive end on my outside. Well, I want to keep that leverage. My head's already on the inside. So I want to give the illusion that I'm trying to reach him, but really I'm just trying to match his leverage and then torque him out, rip an arm off and really torque him out, get him out of the play. We know we're hitting the backside, right? Then it gets into like more with the D tackles and on the inside, right? So if you have a guard and a guy's in a 3 technique, so now your right guard, we're running zone right, and you have a right guard and he has a 3 technique on his outside. All right. I want to cover this guy. I want to get all of them. Okay. So what I was forever hand in the dirt, take our 6-inch step, load up hands and blah, blah, blah. But now I'm more 2-point stance. I want to play long, get these long arrows in, get this like a pillar punch on this guy, grab underneath, grab his belly. And I'm trying to really torque this guy out of the hole. Right. Well, meanwhile, my center, who is technically uncovered, I'm looking at my key. Maybe I'm looking at that linebacker. He could be in the A gap. He could be neutral. He could be a plus linebacker. I don't want to just run at him right away. Okay. Again, defenses are creative, man. That 3 tech might pinch over into the A gap and now what are you going to do if you just took off and ran? So what I really preach to our guys is let's take care up front. Foot fire is extremely important. So our feet are moving 100 miles an hour and we're moving in the direction of our linebacker. Okay. So again, we go back to that right guard. He's covered up, boom, gets on him. He's covering all this guy, gets a piece of him. Our center's coming down and he's going to square shuffle. He's going to stay square. We want to stay completely square as much as we can. And we're going to bang that hip. Okay. And we're on it. And then when that linebacker commits, whether he's going over top or he's a fullback linebacker, if he goes over the top, well, we're just going to plow it now and plow that 3 tech right into it. And we're going to come out the back door anyway. But if he wants to run fit to me, now I'm under control. I go up to him, I foot fire up to him, I brace, lunge into him, play long. And now all of a sudden we're timing it up that the running back has the ball, the running back's hitting the hole when I'm making contact with second level, but I wasn't piercing too fast. Okay. And then that goes with the same thing with the backside, right? Maybe we had a 1 tech on your left guard or a 2-eye. He wants to get all of them as well. Okay. Your tackle's now shuffling down. He can bang the hip too, wash it down, get up to the backside linebacker. And now maybe that running back's coming out the back door. That defensive end's still there. Is he surf technique? Is he crashing down and the quarterback pulls it? So many different things. But for us, it is really like we want to come with bad intentions. We want to be physical. We want like first contact wins, man. We want to get hands on guys. But if you're uncovered, you're not just piercing the line of scrimmage 100 miles an hour and running up to that linebacker. All right. We're trying to stay square on that line of scrimmage as long as we can, allowing that running back to see it. And then when those linebackers commit, that's when we commit to them too. Okay. And then our running back can kind of do his thing off of that.
Coach, why is it so important for those linemen up front to stay square? How does that benefit the back?
Yeah. So the way it was, like when you start to turn your shoulders, you're trying to define that hole for the running back, but you're trying to take it away his natural ability. Let the running back find his crease and where he is. What it also does is when you start turning your shoulders and you're blocking down on somebody or anything like that, it allows us to get picked. Okay. So if somebody else wants to like if we get some type of pinch, maybe it was that center want to turn his shoulders and now that 1 tech is going to pinch him, pick him. And now you get something that loops back the other way. There's no way to recover from that. So when you really stay square, all right, there's a chance for if something like that happens, what we call it is we'll actually rewind and bang back And now I might knock that guard off for the linebacker that came, or maybe the loop in 3, whatever it came. But us staying square, we give ourselves an opportunity to pick up any of those blitzes, twists, pinch, and all that good stuff.
Right. Now, you mentioned youth league football, right? You run the old 32 blast, 34 power, whatever it was. And man, come hell or high water, that running back's running to the 2-hole or he's running to the 4-hole. It doesn't matter if there's 10 defenders in it. He's being taught to run through that prescribed hole. But zone doesn't work like that, right? Tight zone, like you said, man, it could hit front side A, it could hit backside A, it could hit backside B. And a lot of times the coaching point to the running back is be slow to the hole and fast through it.
Yep.
So what does that really mean? What do you need in your running back for him to be a good tight zone runner?
Yeah, and that's a great point. And again, I was talking to Coach Marquez the other day. He was saying sometimes it's tough to teach patience for running backs, but where you can really teach that is by teaching them the right track and teaching them to stay square as well, right? So when you start getting your running backs on with their shoulders angled, a lot of times they really can only run to that. They might not even make it back to her, okay? They're kind of going towards that front side gap, or maybe they can hit it right downhill, but it's tough for them to cut back. But when you really patiently come across and you're square coming downhill again, aiming at that backside foot of the center, it gives you that 3-way go to be able to take advantage. So every running back's going to kind of have his own little style and own little flair, but you can be a downhill thumper and still be very effective in inside zone, or you can be a scat guy that's got that burst in that second gear and still be effective at it. Last year it was nice. I mean, we didn't have the greatest record at Williamstown this past season, but we had a lot of good experience in terms of our 2 of our running backs. They were both freshmen. So the one freshman was more like kind of hammering it in there and kind of found his flow, where the other guy was, you could see him be patient, but a lot of times his shoulders return. He wanted to kind of bounce it out. So now if we can get these guys both on the same page, it's like you can be a different style runner and still be highly effective in a tight zone scheme.
Yeah. I'm a big Steelers fan. I know you're an Eagles guy, but and I just for years used to marvel watching Le'Veon Bell run tight zone. He was so patient; it was almost maddening. Like he would be hopping behind the line. He'd almost come to a complete stop at times, and then all of a sudden, boom! He'd find that seam and he'd go. That forced the linebackers to be so patient as well, because the moment they overcommitted, he made them wrong.
Yeah,
he's just a phenomenal zone runner. And that's one of the things I love about the inside zone scheme too, is that by giving that running back that 3-way go, you do have the ability to punish the defense for being overly aggressive. It's a really nice way to slow them down.
Exactly.
But other ways to slow. Oh, go ahead, Coach.
I was going to say, and watching, if you ever watched the Steelers like tight zone back then, I mean, that's phenomenal, because like I believe it was DeCastro at right guard, and you have one of the Ponce guys at center. And the things that they did was so fundamentally sound. Like, I mean, you would see the center Ponce sometimes he would make double hop back. So both of his feet are behind it, but because he wanted to be rooted in there, especially if he had like a 0 nose on him, he wants to be rooted in there. And he's playing with great length. You see DeCastro did the same thing. They were always extremely square right across, but their feet, they really play with their feet behind them. I know a lot of times like we get into like these lead steps and it used to be like hat and hands and things like that. But it's like we spend so much time in the weight room with squatting and hang cleaning. We talk about hips. Well, it's really hard to unlock your hip if you're taking that lead forward step. And when you go back and watch like those Steelers, I mean, those two were prime examples of really playing with their feet behind them, but like teetering and lunging into the block and getting all of this guy. And then you have Le'Veon being patient behind it. And as soon as those linebackers would suck up, boom, that's when he would hit the hole.
Yeah. That's why I love the jammer in the weight room, because I think it replicates that action really, really well. That force in the ground and now roll the hips through and explode into your man. Great way to train it. I mentioned the diversity of the play though, right? So, and you talked about the backside end. There's all sorts of different ways that you can handle that backside end. You got any favorites in terms of the games that you're playing on the backside?
Yeah, I mean, like so So again, I like to really clearly define that. So a lot of times we'll line up when an H, which would be, it's kind of like our wing away from the play. So if I'm going inside zone to the right, tight zone to the right, I'm having that H come back across the formation, and he's going to kick that guy out. So a couple of times we'll go, we call that a slice. So we'll slice him. It's defining the hole. Well, now all of a sudden you got this defensive end who's really trying to get under it. Okay, so now we can either slip it, where we're going to end up getting to the flat, and there's a little play action pass, boop, just dump it out to that guy. Shawnee's phenomenal at it. They always do it with their H. Or now we can arc release him. Okay, if that guy's going to just crash down, all right, great, good. The inside zone, the tight zone's dead. They're going to tackle the running back. He's crashing down 100 miles an hour, and we'll just arc release. And now now the quarterback's going to pull it. Now he has a personal protector kind of pulling him up through the alley. Okay, so again, whoever you're blocking the alley, whether it was receivers or whatever. But these linebackers are really smart, man. These linebackers used to just fill the A gaps and come flying downhill. But now they're fallback linebackers. So if that defensive end's crashing, you got this fallback linebacker having that arc release now allows that quarterback to have a little bit of wiggle room rather than as soon as he pulls it, that linebacker falls back and makes the play.
Yeah, man, I've been going up in practice for years against Sean Matthews. You know Sean well.
I do.
And he's a pretty damn good defensive coordinator. Now he's our head coach at Ocean City.
Yeah.
So he put that Will linebacker in the hip of that backside end and play games with him. And it was frustrating because, you think, hey man, I got the B gap, but you don't really, because he's falling back inside. But then other times they're gap exchanging, and now the end is screaming down into the B, and that Will is off the edge. And this is what makes coaching so great, though, isn't it, man? All these matchups, all these chess matches that you've got to be able to figure out in real time.
And that's what exactly what you just said, the chess matchup, the cat and mouse game, right? Because you mentioned earlier that we can be in 11 personnel, we can be in 12 personnel. Oh, we can take care of that with the tight end backside. Now he's going to be in the zone concept. Well, you know what? They'll just add another guy too, right? They start bringing more guys in the box and stuff, and that's where we start to call like key screens, right? Whether it's the bubble from the slot or a smoke screen from the outside receiver. So there's different like little variations that we can build off it. But yeah, that is the cool part about the play, is that a lot can build off it if you really are patient with it and not piercing the line of scrimmage too quick. Well, that builds in also being able to pull that ball and throw those RPOs and look for a glance route and things like that, or maybe you have a gift on the front side. On the front side, we're gonna run a hitch, and if the corner's deeper than 8 yards, all right, well, that's a gift. We're just gonna take advantage of it, right? So now you really start to make the defenses cover all the field, but it's like, wow, you're gonna get a legal man downfield if you throw that hitch. Well, not necessarily if you're foot firing and staying square and staying on the line of scrimmage and not penetrating too quick and allowing that linebacker to kind of, when he commits, that's when you commit. Like, you really want to be like close enough to shake that guy's hand. You wouldn't shake a guy's hand from all the way out here and just keep walking up to him. It's when you get close to a guy is when you put your hand out to shake. Well, that's the same thing with a block when you start getting up to your second level. So if you're patient with it, it allows you to really kind of build in that little bit of RPO scheme. And then other things you can do too. It's like, I know one thing we'd like to do is where I might have that wing back on the right-hand side, but I have a slot on the left-hand side. Well, I'm going to motion that slot around in like an orb motion. Okay, well, what are they going to do with the defense? They even covering them? Because you know what? Then we'll just flip it out in the flat and then take it. And hey, they did cover him. All right, he's in a more favorable box, and now we're just running that tight zone with the slice block, right? So you can go from there, and then next time it's like, okay, well, now we're in split back. And now you just swing that one split back behind, same type of thing, same orb motion behind. And it's the same exact play, just smells different, looks different, put a little wrinkle on it and stuff like that. And again, defensive coaches are smarts, right? So if we can make them think about one more thing or catch the eyes of the defense and make them have to draw up one more card on a manila folder that they got to show, I mean, that's an advantage for us. That's one more thing they got to prep for. Meanwhile, our offensive linemen have been taking the same foot fire steps to the right, no matter what the heck we want to call it, you know?
That's the beauty of it, man. It's the same scheme for the big guys up front. Blocking schemes are hard, but formations and motions are easy. So, there's a million ways you can dress it up and make it look complicated. But at the end of the day, man, you're still blocking tight zone. And that's the beauty of it, man.
That's it, man. I agree, Coach.
So, Dan, man, great conversation. Really enjoyed it. you got a great opportunity at Williamstown this year because, one, you're going to be the OC. That's exciting. And then two, my guest on Friday and Monday, I did a 2-part show with Sal Marquez, and he's a legend here in South Jersey, and he's coming over to Williamstown along with Ron Flame, his longtime O-line coach. You got to be excited about working with those guys.
Yeah, so I am fired up. So again, like even some of the things that I've talked about, like we met on Sunday for a good 3 hours, and they have been so unbelievably successful with what they have done, right? So with them coming over, I don't want to take away what makes those guys who they are. They're phenomenal coaches. They're Hall of Fame coaches. I want to learn from them, be a sponge, absorb it all right? So like when Ron comes in, Ron's going to run his offensive line, and it's going to kind of be like his style, right? And then it's like, okay, now how can we add a little different flavor to it? How do we change it up a little bit? How's that fit a little bit better with maybe a tight zone scheme or like a duo scheme or something along those lines more that we're doing, since we're not wing T, triple option, things like that. And those guys, even when they came in, phenomenal attitudes, and they're like, everyone thinks we're wing T guys. We were always about getting those double teams on the inside. And as soon as we started talking about that, it's like, man, the similarities that we have, and then having the opportunity to work with guys who have like 11 or 12 sectional state titles and things like that, and just vast knowledge, and there was no egos. I mean, like our coach Fusatola is our head coach, and he has just this vision of Williamstown being great again, and he's just bringing all the guys in and putting the pieces in place. And now it's just a commitment in the weight room that we have with the players and guys growing up and learning the maturity and turning the program around. I think when you put this all together and you have a good coaching staff with guys that want to believe in each other and build with each other, and then the kids see it, it starts to become contagious. And then the hope is that the trajectory just goes straight up from there, that everybody, I mean, obviously, you just can't wiggle your nose, is what Coach Fusatola would say, and have success right away. But by laying this foundation, having clear lines of communication, clear expectation, respecting each other's abilities and what we can do, making sure you hash things out in an office. So then when you get out on the field, if things are running smoothly, and when they don't run smoothly, you just kind of make a note of it, and then you hash it out in the office so then we can fix it later, or you film it in practice. When you do all these little steps to really kind of build, it's like that, to me, would be a great recipe for success. And with having Sal and Ron come over, I'm like chomping at the bit to work with these guys, man.
I can tell, man. You look ready to go, man. It's 10 o'clock at night. You look ready to walk out on the practice field. So, Coach, man, I really appreciate your time. This was a great conversation, and you got an exciting opportunity at Williamstown. So best of luck this year. I
appreciate it very much, Kevin. Good luck with the rest of the show, and keep it rolling, man. Enjoy retirement.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. All right, man. That's our Whiteboard Wednesday episode. Join me again tomorrow and Friday as we finish out the week here at the Call Sheet Daily. Hope everybody has a great day. Take care, everybody.